So if you don't mind, we'll get started.
Okay.
So I've been a big fan of Mr. Hogan's for a long time. My father introduced me to the power golf early, and I started when I was 8, and I've been looking at those pictures since I was 8.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, as my information base changes, the pictures change. Right?
Yeah.
How did that happen? So it's so neat that let's start here. So how did you get started?
How did I get started playing golf?
Oh, yes.
Well, I always my parents both played, and my older brother played, and so I was just automatically I was around the game and I was going to play. And when I was 10, they were taking my brother to the Junior World in San Diego, and as an afterthought, they asked if I wanted to play, and I said, sure, I'll play. And I ended up finishing second. And I think I liked all, I came home and everyone was telling me congratulations and everything. And that was kind of fun. And then I had a friend that was a year older than me that played. We caddied for our dads, and we were just around the game and just kind of grew to love it. And then having a friend that same age and with a love of golf, just sort of perpetuated my loving the game.
Oh, that's great. Did she continue to play?
Yeah, she not quite as serious as me, but she played in college and still plays to this day.
Oh, that's very cool. Is she still in South Dakota?
She lives in Nebraska now.
You guys are on the move, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. So Mike is your older brother? Or is
Yes.
Eric? Mike.
Yep.
And Eric's younger?
Eric is 5 years younger and Mike is 2 years older.
He was the sideshow, Eric.
Yes, and still is.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, he's very entertaining always.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So I looked at the Hall of Fame page you have for South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a wonderful page. And so so you were 4-time women's stroke champion.
Yeah.
83 through 86, and then did you in a playoff in 81 and 82?
Yes.
Wow, was it the same lady?
Yep, Becky Larson, who also played on tour.
Oh, she did.
For a few years. Yep.
Was she older than you?
Yeah.
Well, she had an advantage.
I think she was about.
She play in 83?
Huh?
She play in 83?
I don't think so. I think she had turned pro by then.
Well, that's a nice run. And then you were the state champion twice for high school.
Yep. I think my friend Nancy Steen, who was the one I was telling you about, she was the state champion the other year.
The 2 other years, the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect. And then you qualified when you were 20 for the Open.
Oh, I did. Yeah. That was the first professional tournament I ever played in. And I think that really got me excited about playing. I just enjoyed it's just that other level of competition and just, being, well, not that I was in the hunt. I was in the hunt to make the cut.
You were. Wow, that's
big. I missed the cut by 1.
Oh,
and I still remember everyone told me I was going to make the cut, and nobody could par those last 5 holes. It was impossible because they were so hard, and Nancy Lopez parred them and and knocked me out to miss the cut by 1 in my first Open.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but you should expect Nancy Lopez to do something like
Right,
that.
right. Was she an amateur then? She probably was an amateur.
No,
Oh,
she
she
was
didn't
she
turn
was
pro.
pro.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you must have met some people there that were people you respected and idolized and
definitely.
wanted to follow.
Definitely.
That's very cool. So you played in 17 opens. Does that include that senior opens? That doesn't, right? That you've played in
Uh,
3 since then or so.
I trust your counting better than mine.
Okay. Well, all right. But have you played in 3 senior opens?
Yes. Yep,
And did you play in the first one?
I did.
Wasn't that nice of them to have it?
It was at Chicago Golf Club. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was a lot of fun and just really special to be at that first one.
And how'd you do in the first one?
Oh, I missed the cut. I broke my finger on the first hole of the tournament. I cracked it and kept playing. And then by the time I got home, I had detached the tendon. And so I ended up having to get surgery on my hand after that.
Well, no wonder you missed the cut. They should have canceled the tournament.
Yeah.
Postponed it till you got better, for heaven's sake.
Well, it was my fault for hitting it in the deep stuff off the tee
Oh,
on the
no.
first
So
hole.
no, that's just not fair, right? That USGA
Oh.
gets a little harsh sometimes, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, check this out. My cat just jumped up here.
Oh, I have 2.
Hi.
He looks like one of mine. Is he a he?
It's a she, actually. Two female cats and I have a boy dog. So he's surrounded by a lot of girls in this household.
So I love this line and on the Hall of Fame site. They said the Sioux Falls Washington High School graduate, Tschetter, is South Dakota's greatest golfer of the last 50 years.
Wow. I didn't know that they said that, but that's awfully nice.
I know, right? That puts you up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to shift and go to, how did you decide to go to Texas Christian?
Well, I looked at a lot of schools, but the pull of having my brother there was,
Oh, he was already there.
yeah, he went there 2 years earlier and we were just really close and that was a big pull for me. So
Oh, sure.
ultimately I decided to go there. And then, my younger brother he didn't play golf, but he went to TCU as well.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice, all of us being together down there.
And so Eric must be close enough to your age that you're all there together.
Well, we were, because Mike and I were both still living in Fort Worth when Eric came 5 years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here's the big question. Did you know anything about Mr. Hogan and when you went down there in the first place? I mean, of course you knew about him, but
yeah, not a whole bunch though.
you didn't have a relationship before you went.
No, not at all. And I was not a historian of the game. And so I didn't know a lot about his record or any of that. I knew about the accident because that was something that, sort of interested me, the story of coming from such adversity and coming back to win. So that's more the story that I knew. And I had played Hogan clubs. They were my first set of new clubs that I got when I was a kid.
So when he first watched hit golf balls, you were using Hogan's.
I was using Hogan's.
Well, that's a good thing, huh?
It was a good choice.
Yes. Yes, that's terrific.
Yeah.
So stay at TCU for just a second. So what was your major?
Radio, TV, film.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I was really looking for a major where I wouldn't have afternoon labs, where I could do all my classes in the morning. And the two choices were education or radio, TV, film. And so I opted for radio, TV, film because I thought that sounded interesting.
Had you thought about that before you went down there?
Not really, no.
Did you ever take
I
advantage of your major?
Um, it was really more on the other side of the camera. So no, I didn't really take advantage of it.
So you just jumped on the other side and
Yeah.
became a star, right? That's very good. And it was a good choice, TCU. I was looking at their website and they look like they're good school.
It was a great school. We all, both my brothers and I, enjoyed being there for sure. It's a great school.
Oh, that's great. So then now we're going to go to your career. So your your career is you have 3 wins, right?
Yeah.
And the first win, did you know that the last day, the 4th round, is on YouTube?
Oh, really? No, I didn't know that.
There's a full hour and 30 minutes of you winning the tournament in 1991.
Wow.
Hey, and the putt that he left you on 18, for heaven's sakes.
Well,
My
he had a tough putt it up over the ridge and back down, but yeah, I just remember, like, oh, don't let this be the hole that we make our first bogey on.
All right, 70,
Yeah,
that's right, 71 bars, right? Wow.
Yep.
And then you played some junior golf with him?
Yes, yep. And we're still great friends.
Oh, well, that's just a treat.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the link so you can watch it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'll have to send it on to Billy.
Yes, yes. The internet is such a great resource.
It's crazy.
YouTube especially. You get I'm as being a Hogan fanatic, there's always new stuff put up every once in a while.
Yeah.
And there was that piece on Facebook where they hashtagged Kris Tschetter about the dramatic sound of Mr. Hogan's compression through the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit too. All right, so 3 wins, 10 seconds, and then wasn't the biggest second. Well, of course, you had 2 seconds in majors, the Dinosaur and the U.S. Open. We get rid of Annika, then you win an Open. And by the way, you beat her again. You beat her by a shot in the last 2 rounds, right? She was crumbling. She had one more round.
I don't know if I'd say crumbling, but
she
no,
was
in a way that Open that was rewarding because Annika was so far ahead that unless she really something dramatic happened, it was pretty sure she was going to win. So you always hold out hope that might happen, but we were really going out just saying, look, sole second place here would be a big accomplishment. Unless Annika falls down and breaks her leg, that's going to be the best we can do. And so it felt good to accomplish that, to play well on the weekend and get that done.
Yeah, that's great. So then the second place that you came in Tucson that got you into the Dinosaur must have been that was your first second, right?
Yep, I birdied the last 6 holes.
No kidding.
Yep.
Is that right?
Birdied the last 6 holes to finish second for the first time.
And you would and fourth wouldn't have gotten into the Dinosaur, right?
No.
But it got you into the Open too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big. That's huge. And then you had 50 top 10s. That's good. So you have to be pretty proud of your record, right?
Well, I sure wish I could have won more. When I won the first tournament in Minneapolis,
The North Bank Computer Classic.
Yeah, it really felt like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I don't know. I was close some, but I just never could seem to get that win. And then when I won the senior event um, in Phoenix, my longtime caddy was on my bag that day or that week. And that was really satisfying. I had a playoff with Julie Inkster. She was still playing on the LPGA, so she was sharp. And um, I'm I'm sure no one was more surprised than she was that I won that playoff, but it felt good.
And she'd been playing and you came out of the snow, right? I mean,
Yes, yes.
you hadn't had a chance to practice much.
No, I really hadn't been. Yeah, so
So you just went down to the golf course and played 2 practice rounds and you took care of business.
pretty much, pretty much.
Well, that's very cool.
And I had that was the year that we had to I had been putting with a belly putter. So I had to change to a short putter, which was a little bit of a change for me because I'd been putting with a belly putter since about 2006.
Oh, they made it illegal at that point?
Yeah, it was 2015, and that was the first year that they had made that change.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I thought that was
I'm
a
still
silly.
putting with that putter.
We are.
Yeah,
Well, why not? Why not?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. When did you decide to change the belly putter?
It was in about 2006. I remember it was at the Open that year, and I had been practicing with it, just trying to kind of quiet my hands a little bit. And then the day of the tournament, I just said, I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to putt with it. And that's typically what I would do when I would make changes. I would just put them in the bag for a tournament and go with it.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I always felt like that was really the only way to test clubs, because you could test them all day long on the practice range or in a practice round, but it's just not the same as when you have the adrenaline flowing. And I remember another time that I did that, I put a different driver in my bag and I was striping it on the practice range, played with it in the first round of the tournament and just hit it everywhere. I lost a ball that was actually right up by the green and no one saw it. And anyways, I lost a ball in the first round and I ended up losing the tournament by a shot. So I always look back at that like, oh, if I hadn't done that one.
So
But
that's one of the
I mean, everyone can look back and and say, oh, what if?
Oh, of course, of course. Now I was really happy, and I texted you about it. Was so nice to see you play so well in the senior this year.
That was fun. It was fun to be in the mix again. I had played in a couple of LPGA events early in the year,
Oh, where'd you play?
just to get, some competition in, which was so hard because, I'm 56 now. I'm hitting it shorter than I ever have, and the girls are hitting it longer. The courses are playing longer, and it was challenging, but I do think it helped.
Oh,
I
sure.
I got a shot of cortisone in one of my fingers. I have arthritis in my hands, and it had gotten to the point where I just wouldn't hit the ground. And so I got a shot of cortisone in my finger. It calmed it down for a couple of months and made the summer, I was able to practice a little bit more, and I was able to play a little better, I think.
So here in this short time that we've talked about these tournaments, which we only talked about 5 or 6 of them, we've talked about injuries. So this Ehlers-Danlos that you've had,
Yeah.
that's had a significant effect on your career, right?
Yeah. In a way, it's been a blessing in disguise because I've really had to keep my body stronger than I probably would have, just to stabilize all my joints and things. But it has made injuries little bit, I'm a little more susceptible to injuries. My body probably gets more tired because it's using a lot of energy just to keep me, my joints in place.
And you've had multiple hip surgeries.
I have, yeah. I had 5 hip surgeries, where they just went in and cleaned it up. And then I finally had both hips replaced, but they're both great now. I mean, they're not as good as they were when they were good, but they're a heck of a lot better than they were when they were bad.
I was so fortunate to get hooked up with I'm a golf machine instructor.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave a golf machine school in the desert, and one of my students was a orthopedic surgeon.
Ah.
This is back in 91.
Oh,
And,
really?
yeah. And then so at that school, we had an orthopedic surgeon who then became a great friend, and he's in Reno. And he funded a biomechanics lab that we had for 2 years at the University of Nevada at Reno.
Okay.
And
That's always interesting feedback, isn't it?
oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a room that was, well, it was a pretty big room, and we had all the bells and whistles in 91. And are you familiar with the name Ariel Gideon?
I don't think so.
Well, he's an Israeli scientist that started working for the Olympic Organization Committee,
Mm-hmm.
and he developed some software. And so Dr. Greenwald was at a clinic, not a clinic, but a convention, and he sees this software that's really there to help people improve their gait after they have surgeries on their hips and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he says, my gosh, he says, we could use this for golf. So that was the beginning of our biomechanics lab. So he buys this software, and then we buy some like $60,000 pressure plates. And then we had a full-time biomechanist for 2 years.
Wow.
And we were having this ongoing thing that was just wonderful. I had a great experience. And he's still a great friend.
Wow, that's
And
great.
if you ever need any orthopedic issues, you got a place.
I know who to talk to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Now we get to the good stuff, which is the stuff we've done is really good. Now we're gonna get to the book. I loved your book.
Thank you. It was difficult. I do not consider myself a writer. But I'm really glad that I wrote it because I just wanted people to see this side of Mr. Hogan that he didn't let many people see.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough that he let me, get to know that side of him.
I worked at a golf course for a gentleman, Bruce Wyatt, who was on the staff. So he went to the Hogan dinner 3 or 4 different times. And he loved them.
Yeah.
And interesting story was that he was obviously a good staff member. And so when the Hogan rep came in, we were talking about, this is right when cast clubs were making an entry into the business.
Yeah.
And the rep said that Mr. Hogan said he's never gonna ever build a set of cast clubs because the molecules in a cast club were chaotic, and the molecules in a forge club were homogenized. But he would never make a cast club because the field just wasn't there as far as he was. And I never heard anybody say anything like that before. So he was a metallurgist as well, right? His father, unfortunate when his father happened, but he was a blacksmith, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And he was smart, very well read. He didn't have a lot of education, but he was interested in everything and just read a lot and remembered a lot of things that he read, which not everyone does.
No, right. Goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
You read a whole book and go, what was that? I've been trying to get better at that. I've been reading and taking more notes, which I didn't used to do at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time that you said that he watched you, your first lesson, he says something to the effect, "What are you doing with your hands?" And you said you dropped the club like a hot frying pan.
Oh no, I just, I didn't know what to think. I'm like, what am I doing with my hands? I'm gripping the club.
Right.
Um, he never liked my grip, and I worked at it, but it was just hard because of, the looseness in my thumbs. I had to sort of, I had to make compensations, and it was hard to make him understand that. But it did. I did have a really strong grip, and I did get it a little closer to neutral.
Have you, is it more neutral now than it ever has been?
Uh, Probably, yeah.
So
I mean, it stayed pretty similar once I got it as neutral as I could get it. It stayed pretty similar.
as neutral as you could stand.
Yeah. Without my thumb. See, I don't know if you can see, like my thumb is sort of double jointed.
Oh, you have like an anti-golf thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the golf thumb is supposed to go this way, right?
So
yours is that way?
Well, it's not, see, it sort of pops out.
Oh man.
Like that. And so at the top of my swing, if I didn't brace it in there, it would collapse. So, I just had to figure out ways to do things.
How much you playing now?
Not a whole lot now. Like, I played a lot this summer, knowing that I had, 3 Legends events, pretty much, the month of August, I was going to have 3 Legends events. So I played quite a bit getting ready for that. And lately, I don't have another tournament now for a while. And I've actually started a new venture. I'm doing brain balancing.
Oh.
And so that's keeping me pretty busy.
Oh, what's that about?
So
synopsis.
The brain balancing that I do is it's different. Most brain balancing is neurofeedback or biofeedback, where you're trying to control your own brain. The brain balancing that I do is called Cereset. It's cerebellum reset, spelled CERESET. And this brain balancing is, you put sensors on your head, and we've applied a musical tone to the different frequencies in your brain. You listen to it in real time, your brain recognizes it as itself, and it tries to rebalance and reset. So it's basically your brain is doing the work rather than you. And I did this a couple years ago, and I'd been struggling with the yips for 20 years. And I played in a tournament a week and a half later, and I didn't have the yips anymore. I wish I could have done it for Mr. Hogan. Wouldn't that have been interesting?
Oh yeah.
So it's been really, really fun to be able to help people. Your brain drives everything, and optimize your brain, and a lot of things can get better.
Have you, do you know Mike Hebron?
The name sounds familiar to me.
He was the guy that did the first summit, and in fact, it's kind of an interesting story. So I think it goes something like this, where he went to the PGA and said, I have this great idea. Let's get all the teachers in the room from across the country. And what a great idea that would be. And apparently, to start with, the PGA said, well, we do it in sections, and we're kind of already doing stuff like that. And so he says, okay, I'll do it. So he went and he got Madison Square Garden or something, right?
Yeah.
And he got all the heavyweights. And when they found out, oh, he said that the PGA apparently said, oh, okay, we'll help. But then they got involved, and then they said had these big summits. It was the largest gathering of PGA professionals in our history.
Yeah.
Now
Good
you might,
idea.
yeah, wasn't that a great
I
idea?
think everyone loved it.
Yeah, absolutely, it's great. Now you might know, I was fortunate enough. Richard Skinner, Val Skinner's father,
Hmm.
was a golf machine instructor, and so I got to spend a little bit of time with Val.
She's a good player.
And she's a nice lady,
She is.
and she's fun.
She's,
Were you contemporaries? You must have been.
yep, we were. Yeah, she is. She's a lot of fun. And she's, she's smart, she's witty. She's fun to
Oh,
be around.
right.
I
Yes.
love when she does commentating. I wish she would do a little more.
Oh, I know. She's very good, I thought.
Yeah.
And with your experience and your major, that's what you should do now.
Well, I did a little of it, but my kids, I still have one at home. I still have a 16-year-old. So it was just it was hard enough to leave to play golf. It would have been really hard to leave and not play golf.
Right.
So, and once my kids were in school, I was slowing down quite a bit.
Oh, I'm sure. Right. Oh, that's good. All right. So I loved that because we had the biomechanics lab, and we were looking at and we went to the Scientific Congress of Golf, and we presented a paper, but it was late or something, and we didn't quite get to present. But we did a poster paper. And so what a poster paper is so at lunch, you've got your paper on the board, and then people just come ask you questions about your paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was so neat because we had such a direct interaction with the people.
Yeah.
And when they had the rooms, they had like 3 or 4 different talks at the same time. So I think we got to see more people.
Yeah.
Us,
Yeah. I would like that, the direct interaction.
Right. Right. So when he said to you, he said, I saw somewhere. He said that if an object hits another object traveling faster at impact, the object being hit would go further and straighter, going
Yep.
faster after impact. And then you went and searching for that information, right?
Yep.
How long did it take you to find that?
It took a while. I think I more stumbled across it and went, oh, I think Mr. Hogan wanted this. And then I brought it to him.
And then he read it and said, yeah, see, I knew that.
Yep.
Isn't that great? Love that. And the Hogan dream that you talked about in the book.
Yeah.
So I've heard another version. And the version I heard was that he's had 17 holes in ones. And he gets up on 18 and he lips it out. And he wakes up screaming. That must have been an offshoot of the real dream, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard that version. But that's it, like anything. You hear a story and then it keeps getting better and better.
Right.
Especially Hogan stories.
Oh gosh, I had a good friend when I was the course where I grew up. I worked on the range, picked balls, and in those days we picked balls by tubes and put them in canvas bags.
Yep.
And this guy, Richard Martinez, we had 3-wheel carts, and he would be going down the range with 2 tubes and picking up the ball as fast as a picker.
Wow, that's impressive,
isn't it? And he went on tour.
Oh, really?
And he got a chance to watch Mr. Hogan hit golf balls. And like we were saying, he said, and it was when he was 60 something years old. So this is going to be great. It's such a treat to watch him hit golf balls, but we know that the stories have been embellished. So we have to take that with a grain of salt and watch him when he's watch him hitting golf balls. And he said, Greg, he said, the stories don't do him justice. He hit it through the same hole in the sky over and over.
Yeah, it was,
And like you
I
said,
mean, I saw him when he was in his 70s and he was still, it just, I couldn't believe how close his golf balls were when he would hit them.
right. Well, you said in the last round that he played that 3 or 4 shots he hit that day. You said, well, those are the best shots I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, they were, and the course was long for him at that point. He was playing from the back tee, so he was hitting, he had to hit 5 wood into a one hole, and it was tough. And I mean, it was just perfect for him to make that putt on the last hole to shoot even par. It just was
What a
fairy
justice.
tale.
Yeah, isn't that great? And you got a chance to see it.
Yeah.
And that was the only time you played with him.
Yeah, I mean, we would go out and play a few holes here and there, but he just didn't ever really play around. I mean, I was surprised the day he said, yes to playing.
Right. In the book, it
I
sounded
really
like
didn't think he was gonna, he might say yes one day. I didn't think that he'd still want to play the next day. That's why I didn't tell the girls we were playing with anything until it actually happened.
Right. Yeah, it sounded like you didn't up till the day until he showed up that you didn't expect him to show in a way.
Yeah.
But he was a man of his word, I'm sure.
That's true.
Yeah. When he gave you his driver to hit,
Yeah.
and it was so heavy and you had so much trouble with it. And by the way, have you heard the story so the last time they played at Carnoustie, have you heard this?
I don't know.
They put Hogan drivers and Hogan balls on the 6th tee, Hogan's Alley, right? And have you been there?
I haven't.
Oh, Hogan's Alley. And he talked about, it's just it's tiny. I mean, it's 12 yards, I'll bet. From the left edge of the bunker to the OB. And he hit it there every day, right? So, but anyway, so they put Hogan drivers and Hogan balls on the tee so people could hit his driver on Hogan's Alley.
How did everyone do?
Well, Dustin Johnson hit it 250. And there were many that didn't hit it 200.
Really?
And there are a lot of them over here in the right bunker.
Yeah.
I have this is the picture you see here. This is my lesson tee.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to, in 1984, I went to this golf course as a head golf professional. And I left and I started teaching full time. And then I came back. And so I've been teaching there off and on since 1984. And they kicked me out twice, not really kicked me out, but I left twice. And then I came back 3 times. So I'm still there. So it's really, really nice. And
Yeah,
I have the whole place to myself, the back. They're up there, the balls in the front. I'm in the back, 330 yards away. So he said that you could never find a Hogan driver that you liked, right?
No.
So you went to the TaylorMade, and then you had to use the buggy whip.
Yes. Yep. He liked to tease me about that.
I'll bet he did. He was quite a teaser, wasn't he?
He was.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that later. So the one time when he decided he was gonna put lead tape on your driver, and they went up looking for it, and he was in the back room grumbling and couldn't find it, and then he comes out and there's a young man, a young father there with his young child, and then his demeanor changed like that, you said.
It did. I just remember looking at the pro in the pro shop, and we were all just like, oh my gosh, are we witnessing this? Because it was like night and day difference. And then when he was done talking to him, it was right back to, all right, let's go out and hit some more balls.
That's great. So did he find any lead tape that day?
He did.
And did he load you up?
He tried.
Yeah, right. I'm a big fan of heavy, and have you've seen both the Hogan Mystique's book, the Hogan Mystique and the Man Behind the Mystique?
I have.
And in the second book, The Man Behind the Mystique, they say, and there's a little picture, one of those fold out pages that they had. They have a picture of clubs that he has at a golf house. And they said, like you said about the driver, which is the heaviest driver they ever weighed, right?
Yeah.
These irons that they have in the golf house are G2s.
Oh, really?
Not E2s, not F2s.
Yeah.
G2s.
Yeah.
So I made a set of G2s. And when I first built them, I go, well, these things are amazing. And they just, all you have to do is get them started. They swing themselves. But I got a little tired.
I was gonna say, he did. He had big forearms. He was strong.
Yeah, he was. Yes, that's good.
I had the pleasure of meeting Jules Alexander.
You did.
After I wrote the book, he had read it, and he got my number, called me, and invited me to his home at Westchester, and just said that he wanted to meet me and talk to me about Mr. Hogan. And he ended up taking pictures of me and my girls, which was kind of fun. So I've got these great pictures that Jules took. We actually became pretty good friends the last years of his life, which was nice. He had a lot of love and respect for Mr. Hogan.
Oh, I'm sure.
And yeah, showed me all of the pictures he had. That was pretty neat for me.
Oh, but then there must be a whole lot of pictures that didn't make the book. So
Yeah.
You got to see some pictures nobody else got to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, he was saying, I want you to do this. And you said, well, Mr. Hogan, you don't do that. And then you talked him into taking a video.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't look at it.
And then he didn't want to see it.
Isn't that something? Have you seen the Coleman video when he's hitting golf balls into the ocean in Florida?
Yeah. Yeah.
And have you seen the slow motion
Yes.
version of that? When
Yep.
Mrs. Hogan says, Ben, show him that slow motion swing of yours. And he walks in. And I was, when I watch it, I was always struck by the idea that it was before video. Because he even says in that if you watch the whole thing, he's the guy that's the videographer is 10 feet away, and he says, that thing got sound. and so when he's taking a swing, he's taking it back and flicks, right?
Yeah.
So in those days they used 8mm, and they'd take pictures, and then they'd go down to the drugstore, and they'd go back to the drugstore a week later.
Yeah.
And then they play the 8mm, right? So he's clicking off these frames. And then when he comes down to release, the club face is parallel to the target line.
Yeah.
And which made me think this is a man who works very, very hard at allowing the club to stay as open as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Did he talk about that quite a bit?
Yeah. I mean, it was all built into his grip, the way he set up his grip on the club, like everything about it was he wanted to be able to hit as hard as he could and not have it go left.
Right. So he said, I'm going to write an article.
Yeah.
The left hand's the steering wheel and the right hand's the gas pedal.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I've often seen is when people say the right hand is, that's what gives us a business. And he said he wished he had 3 right hands.
Yep.
I've always thought that he was so good. Have you ever heard this? You know John Slee? Do you know that name?
Hmm.
Did you meet John?
No.
Did you ever hear the story about how they developed The Secret?
I don't know.
Did you ever see The Secret?
Yes.
That's the device that they built. It
Yeah.
was John Slee's first developed it with the time he spent with Mr. Hogan. And then later on, years on it, later it was Greg Norman's secret. But it was really John's first.
Yeah.
John passed away when he was 61 from
Mm.
Alzheimer's. And he was a good friend of the gentleman that I worked for all that time.
Oh, yeah.
But so John was low qualifier in 65 at the Q school, first inaugural Q school. Rookie of the year in 66. And he went to Mr. Hogan. He said, Mr. Hogan, he said, you won 4 opens. He says, I want to win 5. Would you help me? He says, no, John. He says, but good luck to you. And then so the story goes, so who knows if it's true, that he either played a practice round with him or played 36 holes with him later on in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. Hogan played the Mr. Hogan way. Down the fairway on the green. Down the fairway on the green. John, on the other hand, went from the right rough to the left rough to the right bunker to the green. And he did this for the whole round, and he beat Mr. Hogan by a shot or 2. So then the story goes, put John aside. He said, John, he said, nobody should play golf like that. So I decided I'm going to help you. So then they came across the idea that we got to figure out how to keep this right hand like this. And then you can hit it as hard as you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, well, Mr. Hogan, can I put your name on this, the Hogan secret? Oh, he says, John, he says, my good name's all I have. He said, but good luck to you.
That sounds about right.
Doesn't that sound like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, and then the other thing I loved, I dearly loved, is one time during the Masters, you were out practicing, and you said, well, why aren't you in watching the Masters? And he said, well, I'd rather be out here watching you.
Yeah, that was nice. I don't know if it was true, but
Oh, I think that's true.
it was nice of him to say.
Yeah, that was true. Now I have these young men that I started teaching. Bobby Schaefer. He knows everybody. I'm almost qualified for the tour in '91. Missed it by a shot or 2. Was on the Hogan tour. And he played the Hogan tour. And then he didn't quite make it, and he had bad hips. And our good friend Dr. Greenwald would look at him, and he said, Greg, I don't really see anything. And so we're thinking Bobby has this like problem, because his hips always hurt at tour school. And now Dr. Greenwald says, I see it now, and I should have been able to see it then. And it's too bad imaging wasn't better then, and we could have fixed it. But anyway, so what Bobby did is he started, when he ended up not playing, he started taking people to Augusta for the tournament. And in a good year, he might take 300 people.
Wow.
And so that became his business. So he became a student of mine when he was 12. And he continues to be a student, and he's 53. And you must be familiar with Mr. Doyle, Ben Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the reason I read an article by Bobby Clampett by Ben Doyle in Golf Week years and years ago, 1979. So then I went to see Ben, and about that time I started working with Bobby. So then I sent Bobby to see Ben, and Bobby became Ben's student. But anyway, so I have 3 questions from Bobby and 3 questions from another student that went to UCSB with Bobby. And Bobby wants to know, what did you learn from Mr. Hogan that was the greatest of value to you?
Oh boy, I learned so much. Golf wise, I think it was just the management, learning how to play a golf course and all the things around the actual playing of golf. The being prepared, practicing shots that you're going to need for the next tournament, sort of thinking ahead, doing that kind of stuff. But then life wise, I think it was just to enjoy the journey, enjoy everything about being a professional golfer. The people you meet along the way, and just the playing, enjoy playing on that level, on that, that elite playing field, to
Right.
just really enjoy that.
And you said that the interesting people you get to meet, and you've gotten a chance to meet many interesting people, right?
I have.
You talked about many times and talked about spending some time with Charles Barkley.
Yes,
Now have you watched the evolution of his golf swing?
I have.
So did you see him when he was pretty good, and then he had that huge trouble, and then he was pretty good again? He's getting a lot better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when he was pretty good, and then he started getting that hitch, and it just kept getting worse and worse. We got him some left-handed clubs at one point, and I don't know if he ever used them or not, but that was my suggestion to him, to just switch it around, play left-handed, and then turn back around and see if it gets better. But I'm not sure what he's done. I know Stan Utley was helping him.
Oh,
And
Stan Utley, is that who's doing it?
yeah. And it
I
looks good.
One of my goals is to try and figure out how to get a hold of Charles. Never happened, but I was looking forward to the possibility. And Billy wants to know, what were Mr. Hogan's passions outside of golf?
He loved so much, he loved talking to the oil men at Shady Oaks. He was always interested in that. He talked about flying. He loved fly fishing.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Did he fly? He fly fished.
I never heard about him doing it, but he told me about it. So I don't know if he wasn't fishing later in life or what, but he talked about how fly fishing was similar to playing golf, in that you had to, play the water and play the wind, and I don't even know the proper terminology, but cast in different ways depending on where you were in the river.
Right.
So he had a lot of interests.
And he wouldn't do something halfway, right?
No.
Oh, okay. One more question from Dr. Klein, who's
All right.
he's a student. One of the things that happened, interestingly enough, because of the pandemic, we shut down our golf course March 17th of 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't open it up again till June. So I had those months that I ended up giving 10 or 12 lessons a week on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
And so this gentleman, Dr. Klein from Pennsylvania, has become a good student, and we spend a lot of time on Zoom together. And he's a dentist, a good one, I think, very good one. He wants to know, did Mr. Hogan ever suggest to you ways that you might shadow the club effectively?
I don't recall. I was not asking him questions other than about my golf swing. So if I didn't have a problem with it, we probably didn't talk about it. I was going to say, I wish I would have asked him more questions, but I think if I had been more of a student of the game where I was trying to gain, just knowledge, I think he would have been more leery of what I was after. I mean, he could tell that I was simply trying to get better myself. And so if I didn't have the problem, I wasn't asking the question.
And you said he was a tinkerer. Do you think did he tinker as much with his swing as he did with yours?
Absolutely. I think that he went to the range every day and found what worked for him that day. And I think that makes sense. When you think about feel changes. It can't stay the same, because if it stays the same, you're eventually going to overdo something. So every day he would go to the range and he would find what it was that his feel was for that day, and then play with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then how are the girls doing?
The girls are good.
Was Lainey out? You say she went to school. She's out. She's gone away to school, has she?
She graduated from high school and she's not sure what she wants to do. So she's trying to figure that out right now. And my now 17-year-old is a junior in high school.
Golfers?
Not a bit.
Not a bit. So my daughter, my mom and dad and I, when we spent time all together, we would go to the range. That's what we did for fun.
Yeah. Well, they used to go out to the farm, but they didn't really, it wasn't for golf. It was for driving the carts and digging in the dirt and fishing in the pond and, just kind of having fun.
Right. So Amy, she has a nice looking swing. But I never pushed her at all. So then when she's 30, she says, Dad, she said, you should have pushed. Oh,
yeah, easy to say that now. I always tell parents, at least give your kids a swing, and then if they want to play later in life, you're ahead of the game.
There you go. Wow. So, I thank you so much. I wanted to leave you with this. You said that at one time in the book, you said that when he was kibitzing, you were kibitzing back and forth. You said, I think God put you on this earth so that I wouldn't have to figure out anything myself. Right? And then you later wrote that you have friends from all walks of life. That each feed your soul in a special, unique way.
Yeah.
And you wondered if Mr. Hogan had that. And I'm going to tell you that the best thing that's ever happened to me is my granddaughters.
Yeah.
So you fed his soul, being a surrogate granddaughter, in a way that you can't imagine.
Well, thank you. I hope so. Because
I know
you're sure a good man.
Well, thank you so much for this. And I'm going to put this on my side if you don't mind.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I hope that I'll be in contact.
All right.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Have a good day.